Hello there, new friends. Welcome back to your safe place. Let's just get started with today's story off the D&D subreddit entitled New DM Tries to Run a One-Shot, Players Sabotage It. I recently had a really rough, awkward experience and I figured I'd share. I've been playing with this group of 6 players for almost 2 years now, with the same guy as the DM, going through official campaigns and other content that the guys purchased. He's a good DM for the most part, although he tends to take things way too seriously for my liking. For some reason, he wants things to be realistic, which means it's hard to do fun and spectacular things. So most of us don't try to be daring because we know he'll find a way for it to not work. He roleplays almost every NPC to be dishonest, which makes it difficult to gather reliable information. So we're always operating with an information deficit and waste a lot of time as a result. In his mind, he's staying true to the characters. Anyhow, one of the players in the campaign had been working on a one-shot for a few months. We all knew that she had purchased assets for the platform that we used to play online. She had built maps and various content, selected music as well. Most importantly, she had written a complete narrative with a solid hook. She was ready to take us through her world. It was her first time DMing, so of course she was nervous. I was really excited because she's talented and I really wanted to see what she had created. Everything started off really nicely. Her hook had me captivated and eager to find out more. We went around a creepy town where strange things were happening, so the atmosphere was set, the world felt real. The townsfolk had interesting things to say that progressed the story. The pacing was excellent, and everything felt tied together. The RP was fun too. 2 of the characters, including one played by the guy who usually DMs, were not getting along for reasons that made sense. My character tried to get them to settle down without much success, which was all fun and games at first. We reached an inn where something was clearly going on, and we had good reasons to stay together. 3 of us were coordinating, investigating rooms, and talking to NPCs, while the other 2 players were arguing. It got to the point where it felt like they were not taking the one-shot seriously, getting into their characters a little too much. I made some out-of-character comments about trying to let it be more about the story and less about the characters, although I didn't press it too much, not wanting to be a buzzkill. They were clearly having fun, and it wasn't too bad. Ultimately, you want a good balance between characters and story, and who am I to dictate? That's until they decided to attack each other, as we encountered a pretty powerful monster. It started with one of them slapping the other and insisting to make it an actual attack roll rather than just flavor and roleplay. While the 3 of us were doing this encounter, yelling at them to come assist us, they literally started casting spells and slashing at each other. By that point, I was getting pretty irritated, and I could tell the DM was not having a great time either, although she didn't say anything. Again, I tried to appeal to them to be reasonable, but they kept fighting. My understanding was that in the moment, they felt that being authentic to the way they envisioned their characters mattered most. But that strikes me as selfish. We ended up dying in a fight that would have been somewhat trivial if the 5 of us had been there, and the story ended before we were a quarter of the way through. Unfortunately, I'll never know how the story ends. I'll never know more about the intrigue. To her credit, she has never made a fuss about it, beyond sounding pretty disappointed immediately at the end of the session, but I think her efforts deserved a lot more respect. I say the following things as somebody who's on the spectrum and has struggled with adhering to social norms. It's no secret that a lot of socially awkward people with difficulties understanding boundaries play D&D. I think it's a good outlet for many of us. That being said, I'm still surprised that the guys acted like that. They've never acted like that before or since. Listen, kids. I get the urge to murder hobo and generally be on your worst behavior while throwing the dice around is pretty commonplace, but when it's a new DM, you gotta dial it back a little bit. Hell, when you're being an ass and ruining the game for other players and the new DM, it's really time to reevaluate yourself, because the minority, meaning you and maybe one other person, shouldn't be the only ones having fun. Obviously, this was out of character behavior in this group, and it was never spoken of again because the clowns probably realized the damage they'd done after the fact. It's just a shame this new DM probably won't bother going through the effort again because some of y'all knuckleheads can't keep your murder boners in your pants. With all that said, if you like this story and want to hear more like it, let me know in the comments. If you like Storytime with Safe, make sure to hit those like and sub buttons to make this your safe place, and I'll see you in the next one.